allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As always, our first order of business, which is our most pleasant thing, is our Student of the Month.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to begin our evening with our building reports and Student of the Month. So please welcome as we celebrate our young people tonight. After the celebration, please stay around, and Mrs. Garvin is going to be taking pictures of your Student of the Month with parents, principals, whoever you want to take pictures with. But we just want to celebrate those young people. With that being said, we will start off with Hornet Park. So Hornet Park.
We never know who's going to get this.
It's always a surprise.
Oh my, there's treasures. Okay, good evening, everyone. Hi there, I'm Erin Probus. I'm the principal at Hornet Park Early Childhood Center and Elementary School. And I'm tickled to share with you tonight my November tradition, as long as I can remember, is that I share things that I've interviewed and asked kids and adults what they are thankful for this time of year and always. And so I have a list here to share with you, and that will be my building report, just an attitude of gratitude. From Mrs. Gentry, she says a solid team, not just her immediate office team, but our extended school and district team. Abby says jumping. Faith says swinging on swings. Mrs. Stanley says my family and our amazing school community. Oliver, rocket ships. Chloe, ballerinas, and Azalea, mermaids. Those are some of our preschool friends. Wade says he's thankful for when someone says they're sorry to me and means it. Mrs. English says that even though I work in the office, I get to connect with these sweet kiddos. Brinley says my family. I always love them, and they're always there for me. Adeline says I love to snuggle my stuffies at nap time. We have nap time at Hornet Park now. Brandon says he's thankful for friends. I like how they play with me a lot, like double bestie friends. We're awesome. So some of you might be my double bestie. Miss Stone says that she's thankful for the parent involvement that she's had this year and all around the support she receives. I interviewed Madeline, but Michael was right there, and they spoke on top of each other the whole time. So in some combination, the two of them said, my teacher, yeah, she teaches us sight words so we can exercise our brain and get ready for second grade. Oh, also iReady Math, like every day. Yeah, it shows up and it has my favorite math thing. If we get 100 points, we get a sticker. I'm thankful for the sticker. I love all the teachers in this whole land. That part I was like, that's really good. So I'm not sure who said what, but the two of them were really talkative. Dorian said he is thankful for morning meetings because he gets to talk about his feelings. Ben says Kids Club. That's our Title I program because they're making me so good at reading. Fern says my kindergarten teacher, she's now a big first grader. My kindergarten teacher, Miss Dixon, because first she taught me 2 + 2 is 4, and then like 100 + 100 = 200. Eulalia says our new building, it's beautiful and so fun. Taylor says my teacher taught me to write and use finger spaces. Miss Schweitzer, who's our new art teacher this year, says she's thankful for this community taking her in as like a little baby teacher and supporting her all the time as she continues to grow. David is thankful for the book he got from the book vending machine because he has good attendance. Georgia said, I'm thankful for my teacher because she keeps us safe and takes care of us. Cohen gets to play outside games like tag, basketball, and hide and seek. Ariana is thankful for pizza because pepperoni and cheese are her favorites. Oh, wait, chicken nuggets too. And Reese, I wanted to end with Reese. She goes, well, you, and you, and you, and she just started pointing to everyone who's around, and she goes, everything about Hornet Park and my turtle. Oh, which was pretty great. So I think it's just an important thing to remember this time of year and always that it's family, it's friends, it's support network around us. It's being able to have access to the wonderful opportunities here in Beech Grove City Schools, and to be thankful for things like stuffies and pizza, right? Double bless yous. Triple. All right. Speaking of double, triple things, I double dipped on the Student of the Month celebration this year. I had, at Hornet Park, we had 2 little boys nominated, and they are brothers. We have Emerson, who is in our first ever Early Childhood Center program, and his big brother Noah, who's a big first grader. Now, Emerson is here with me, so Emerson, you want to come up? Noah got sick this early morning, late in the night, so Noah is not with us, but we're still going to brag about him. So we're going to brag about brother and you, okay, buddy? Here, let's step up so you can see. Sorry. Mrs. Kleeman says Noah, his brother, is a bright-eyed, friendly student, always putting forth 100% of effort with his academics. He has a smile on his face and is ready to engage. Mrs. Jennings nominated Noah also. Noah deserved the honor because of his hard work in reading and writing. He brightens her day. I'm going to read just a few of Noah's, and then we'll get right to yours, Emerson, okay? Also, Noah received, he had his writing placed on our wall of excellent writing. Once he comes over to the table to work with her, he is using his strategies to figure out unknown words, read his sight words, and answer questions about the text. We could not be more proud of Noah. Mrs. Cooper says that Noah is sweet and makes her laugh, that they both dressed up as Dalmatians on Silly Safari Week, and that made her happy. For Miss Gimlick, she knows both of you. So Miss G says, I love these 2 boys. One day, Noah left his hat at his house. So, as he was coming to school on the bus, Emerson made sure that someone could take his brother's hat to him at school. It was such a sweet sentiment. We went on a field trip recently, and Miss Gimlick was able to meet Emerson's dad, and he was such a good, positive chaperone to have on our trip. Special thanks to our families for allowing us to help their 2 wonderful boys learn and grow. Miss Castetter, do you know her? She's your teacher. She said Emerson is a very bright young boy with an eagerness to learn. He loves to tell people that he likes Pikachu. You see that? And his favorite color is yellow. You know, just like him. He is such a blessing to have in class. And Emerson, I said, these boys are an absolute treasure. To have Emerson as part of our first ever Early Childhood Center class and his big brother looking out for him from first grade has been such a blessing. These are little boys with big hearts, kind personalities, and sweet dispositions. We are thankful for our 2-pack Student of the Month Brother Edition. So Emerson Pettigrew. And there you get the certificate. Here, you know what? I'm going to carry your star. Will you carry these for me? Will you hold these for me?
Well, thank you, Mrs. Probus.
Thank you, everyone.
No pressure to Miss Cotter there.
Look, I knew it was coming.
I know, yeah.
Karen does this every year. I prepare
Yes.
myself. Okay, I love hearing all those cute little things. Mrs. Probus. Yeah. Miles, I actually took everything.
Sorry. Thank you, everyone. It's so exciting to be here. As I said, I'm not going to be as cute as Mrs. Provost, but we love that November report. I look forward to it myself every year, so thank you for sharing. We do want to celebrate, though, our community, our staff. You know, in Beech Grove, we always talk about family and community and everybody working together. A prime example of that is today around 11 o'clock when I looked out the window and I said, oh, voting, yay. Sergeant Riggs, can you send some help at dismissal? And he did. He brought over his team and they were directing traffic and just making it happen so everything moves seamlessly. Mr. Von Dilligan reported to me, hey, car rider line ended right on time. And I said, yes, it worked. So teamwork really does make the dream work. Safe Schools update for you all. We're going to be doing our Rally Point drills on Thursday. Thank you to Jill Laker for giving Mr. Von Dilligan a tour of the library and showing us a new rally point. Previously, one of our rally points had been the PNC Bank, but talking that through, that wasn't necessarily the safest point, as students would have to cross the street and access that traffic and things like that. So we have this nice secure location real close to Central, so that's exciting. As I said, we're going to do that on Thursday with the students. We'll call it a safety drill. They've done it, our second graders did it last year at Hornet Park. Our Central students did it with us last year as well, so students are accustomed to that. It's just all a part of being prepared. Today, I had the pleasure of meeting with each of our teachers and paraprofessionals to really review our MTSS process, our multi-tiered systems of support, and talk about best practices for teaching, but also talk about really where we are as a school and where we hope to be in the future. As you know from the report 2 months ago when we went over the data and the scores, we have a lot of growing to do. But we're going to do it. And today was just so exciting and inspiring to see the passion shine through from the teachers. We have a team of teachers that truly believes that our kids can achieve and that they will achieve. We have an excellent process in place, a framework, and when we work that process, we're going to get great results. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to get there. And one of my favorite moments of today was one of our second year teachers. I'm not going to say her name because she would not be happy with me, but she's fabulous. And she said, last year I knew that I had found a home in Beech Grove. I knew that this was the place I wanted to be as a teacher. I felt really good about this. I felt the community. I felt the teachers' involvement. I felt the support. But this year, it's exciting because I feel like I can support others, and I feel like I can contribute not only to my kids, but to our community as a whole, our school community. She's bringing in ideas with math intervention that are fresh and new and data-driven, and she's got the results to prove it. And it's just, again, it's so awesome to see that passion shine through from one of our second-year teachers really just stepping up. And I look forward to, building that confidence in her and all of our other teachers in the future. The icing on the cake with today was Dr. Hammock visiting one of our meetings. And that means so much to me as a building leader, but our teachers, the whisper, Dr. Hammock was in my meeting. How cool is that? She not only cares about the process, but cares about us as teachers. Our students have seen her in the building multiple times. And it just really speaks to who we are as a school district and where we're going. So super exciting day at Central. Very excited to celebrate Mr. Miles Gerald, our student of the month. Come on up, Miles. How are you? You look so handsome. All right. So this is Miles Gerald, and Miles is the son of Keith and Amy, and the younger brother to Miss Ella, who's a freshman at Beech Grove. Miles, as you can see, is very well dressed, which I love, but he's also has such a positive attitude and is such an example of what a Hornet should be. He works hard, he helps everyone around him, and he has a positive attitude. He consistently goes above and beyond in the classroom and school. Miles was nominated by our physical education teacher, Mr. Suits, and Mr. Suits shared that Miles comes to each class with a positive attitude, gives his best effort, and is a role model to his fellow classmates. Mrs. Weimer, Miles' reading teacher, described him as having a hunger for knowledge. She said that she rarely sees this in her teaching, especially in third graders. She said Miles is always seeking to expand, understand, and collect interesting tidbits of information. As we progress through the school year, he continues to meet every challenge with a smile and giving his personal best. Mrs. Weimer said it's been an absolute pleasure guiding Miles on his journey to learn new things. Mrs. Muir, Miles' math teacher, described him as an incredible leader and role model in her class. She expressed how much she appreciates Miles' love of learning and how wonderful it is to see such a young student truly wanting to challenge himself academically. And then in turn, she gets to challenge him academically. That's super fun to teach. We love when kids want to learn and are excited about learning. And thank you to Mom and Dad, because I know you instill those values in him. Ms. Lawson shared, "I am so lucky to work with Miles in Math Enrichment Group. He comes down with a positive attitude and is eager to learn. He's an exceptional listener and is very smart. He's also a good friend and helps his classmates. Miles's smile lights up the room when he learns a new concept, and especially when he solves a Rubik's Cube. I know this little guy has an amazing future ahead of him." Speaking of excelling academically, while Miles is a third grader at Central, he will not be participating in I Read 3 this year because he's already passed as a second grader.
Whoa.
Yeah. Way to go, Miles. We're so proud of you and all that you have achieved, and we look forward to celebrating you. Congratulations. Miles. There you go, buddy.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter. Mrs. Fleming from South Grove.
Good evening, everyone. I am here tonight representing the staff of South Grove to thank each of you. One of the first things that we talked about when we began this month of November as a staff was how grateful we are to be part of the Beech Grove community. And as you have heard from my colleagues and continue to hear from our teams throughout the year, we know that it would not be possible without the great support of our fearless leader, Dr. Hammock, and her administrative team, as well as you as a board. So thank you all for what you do every single day to help our students be successful by supporting our teachers and our staffs, by helping us as building leaders achieve what we believe is best for and with children, and for helping our community be the best that we can be. So thank you. We have a lot going on at South Grove, along with the other schools here in the district. One of the things we're focused on in November is service learning. Our students raised $385 in Boo Grams, little candy and a sweet little note from one friend to another, and that money will go directly towards Servant's Heart for the Christmas program, along with the canned goods and dry food collection that we're doing throughout this month. We have a couple little competitions built into that. We will have a dry foods domino event where we will place all of the boxes that are brought in from pasta and cereal and such, and we'll see how far we can make the domino of boxes stretch throughout the halls of South Grove. And then we will have a competition. The one class per grade level will be selected based on the highest average of food goods or donations brought in per student in each classroom. Those classes will then select 3 students from their chance jar, and those 3 students will get to throw pies in the faces of our fearless leaders, Mr. Pugh and Mr. Long. So others have asked if they could bring in credit cards, and we've not yet opened up that option yet. I'm thinking it would be a good fundraiser. The students increase their chances in that chance jar by coming to school every day and on time. So their ability to do that is based on their attendance for the month of November. So we've tried to build in that incentive. Also, in preparing for the holidays, our counselors at South Grove, along with our safety resource officer, Kelly Spivey, have been working extra hard to ensure that families who need assistance this Thanksgiving and these winter months get what they need. So very, very proud of and grateful for Officer Spivey taking the lead on trying to make sure that we have food security for all children and families over the weekends and during these long breaks that we'll have coming up. As with all of our schools, we are always focused on professional development and being the best we can be. As such, we are starting our second cycle of our professional development, and our focus will be on developing student ownership. So that will be a long several months for us, focused on how we can make shifts with our instruction, our curriculum, our assessment, and our climate to ensure that students are owning what they learn and applying that to life outside of South Grove. We're very excited about where we are to date on that work and where it's going to take our students moving forward. We ask that you all save the date for Culver's Night Out on December 6th, just going through the drive-thru or coming on in will earn money towards South Grove, and it goes straight towards student activities. So in the month of October, we earned over $400 for just a few hours, and that money goes right toward buying some nice South Grove t-shirts for all of our students. Finally, we have an Art to Remember fundraiser that our awesome art teacher, Mrs. Rolls, has begun, and you can get your own prints of student work. And I will tell you, it's pretty phenomenal what 4th, 5th, and 6th graders are doing. If nothing else, check it out. We'll send you the link. It's available on our SGT newscast each Friday. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for. Miss Talia Bass, please come forward. I know Miles looked very spiffy, but check this out. Is this lady not just a gorgeous gal right here? Inside and out, too. This is Talia Bass. Talia is... You are just commended by every adult who's had the pleasure of knowing you, including Ms. Cotter, as I talked to her just before coming here, okay? I'm going to tell you what Mrs. Bruggeman and Ms. Strickland said. Talia is a wonderful student and a great friend. She gives her all in class every day, even when the content is difficult. She is always planning ahead and sets strong goals for herself. She is always willing to listen to others' opinions before stating her own and is respectful if she disagrees. She is an incredibly hard worker, and we love to have her in class. Talia for Student of the Month. Mr. Duffy says, Talia Bass is a great example of what being a South Grove Hornet is all about. She's always coming to my class with an open mind and an open heart. She's helping her classmates without being prompted, and is always volunteering to pass out notebooks. I believe this is a well-deserved award for Talia, and I can't wait to see the person she becomes in the future. Mrs. Garrett, our STEAM teacher, adds, Talia Bass has such a positive response to all the challenges within my STEAM room. She encourages all of her peers and creates a positive environment wherever she goes. Mr. Money shares, Talia has been an incredible addition to the music classroom. The compassion she demonstrates toward other students during music class and music club have fostered such a wonderful learning experience for her peers and herself. Her humor and quick-wittedness have been the energy that drives music explorations, clubs, and activities. And last but not least, Coach Harlan. I love Talia. She is so awesome and such a sweetheart. When I first met her last year, I remember how respectful and patient she was with me as I was doing my best to pronounce her name and remember it during PE. She has remained consistent with a positive, caring, and respectful attitude. Every conversation I have had with her, I walk away smiling because of how outstanding she is. Talia, you have demonstrated the habits of being a happy, healthy Hornet every single day, and we are so grateful that you are you. Thank you for sharing you with us.
Thank you, Mrs. Fleming. Mr. Morgan from Beech Grove Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. I actually shared with you guys a building update, so it was fairly lengthy. We had a lot happening at the middle school over the last month or so, I just wanted to open it up to any questions that you might have about what we shared, because my student of the month actually is a basketball player, and he will not be with us either. So Chase Calderon is a 7th grader for us, just a wonderful student. But I told his parents that we would do a video recording for him and share that with them, so they will have that. So, and I believe our high school principal is not with us today, but Mr. Daniel will be following up here in just a second. And Michaela Collins, their student of the month, is also not with us, so I think they're going to do the same thing. So, any questions for me on the building report?
It's really well done.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed seeing the photos. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for putting that together.
No problem. And just to give you a quick update, I know that we had put in for our coupon books, we are going to be doing a donation to Servant's Heart for $620 coming up here. So our National Junior Honor Society did a great job with that, and I did not include that in the report. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Yes, Mr. Daniel is going to be representing the high school tonight and has quite a few things to talk about. So, welcome to the stage, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you. First timer here. A little nervous. How's everybody doing? All right, I'll start with the building update. Actually, a lot of you guys were involved in the trunk or treat at the high school, which was a great event. Thank you to everyone who came out and helped participate. I think we hosted over 2,500 people. I know I brought my family. The hallways were packed, but it was a great time. Student Council is now planning on putting together a winter formal school dance for our students in December. Big shout out to Mr. Corey Wynn. He presented a list of needs for the band department in front of the Beech Grove City Council this week. And the Beech Grove City Council agreed to donate $60,000 to the band department.
Oh, wow. Oh, my
I think, so I believe if I heard correctly, some of the the funds will go towards redoing the band trailer, a graphic on it, uniforms, equipment, different instruments and stuff. So that's really cool. Culinary arts teacher Miss Castillo, who's also a Beech Grove High School graduate, is currently hosting a chili cook-off this week. Any board member or district administrator is more than welcome to attend. Cook-off days are happening the remainder of this week. If you're interested, please reach out to Mr. Carr and he'll set that up for you guys. A big shout out to our fabulous guidance counselors and Miss Mara for hosting our first ASVAB prep boot camp for students. So they had kids come down to the auditorium today for the boot camp, the prep, and then next week I believe is actual testing dates. As Mr. Morgan stated, Michaela Collins is not here for the Student of the Month Award, so we'll be sure to get that during the school day to her. And then I think I'm going to go right into, actually, you know what? I almost skipped my part. Athletics, give you a little athletics update since I'm here. Fall Athletic Awards are tomorrow night in the auditorium at 6 p.m., so everybody's more than welcome to attend and join us to celebrate our fall athletes. We start off in the auditorium at 6 p.m., where we'll do individual awards, kids who obtain 4 varsity letters, 1 sport, 5 varsity letters total, 7, 9, and if you get to 11, I think that's when we start giving out the blankets. And then they'll break off into their sports and go to designated areas to get awards with their teams. Winter sports is in full force this week actually. So on Monday, boys basketball and boys swimming started up. So that's all the sports that we have. It kind of starts off in a tier, which is really nice about winter. It's not all at the same time. So they kind of start off girls sports, or girls basketball's already started playing some games. Actually tonight they're hosting Cascade. And then I think next week's when we start getting wrestling and swimming competitions start up. Like to have everybody put it on their calendar. November 26th will be our state championship ring celebration. So I'll be sending out more information about that, but it's our home opener for boys basketball. So we'll be hosting the kind of celebration in the cafeteria for select people, and then in between the JV and varsity game, we're going to recognize our athletes, the basketball players and the cheerleaders with their state championship rings. Okay, next, my high school athlete of the week, or month, sorry, Alford Insurance. This is my first time being here to present this. I know this is our second time doing it, so I just want to thank Alford Insurance for stepping up to do this award. It's very nice, and it's a great way to recognize our student athletes. And for the second month in a row, we've had a cross-country athlete, which is pretty impressive. I'm going to go and call up Coach Weesey and Simeon McIntosh. So who better to talk about Simeon and all the great things he does than his head coach?
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and first read off what we had on his plaque. Simeon had a stellar junior season. His determination and work ethic put him in a place of competing with the best. His breakthrough came during his conference meet when he took first place and PR'd. So at that meet, that was our conference meet. I think we're at the 3K at this point, and I'm all of a sudden I'm yelling, I'm like, if you feel good, go. Next thing you know, I look and he curves and he just took first place, and I'm like, what is happening? So that was awesome. And then actually Alex Johnson was just a few feet behind him, and they took first and second. From there, Simeon continued to shed seconds off his time and had a positive mindset on his postseason goals. Simeon advanced individually to regionals and then to semi-state. Simeon is a team player, a leader, and consistently puts the effort in every day. So let's give that to you. A few other words about him. So last season, he was really actually just hanging around in the hallways. And I finally was like, what are you doing? Do you do anything in the fall? He's like, no. I was like, do you want to come run cross country? He's like, sure. So got him to run, and last year he was like COVID, then he got sick, so all sorts of things. And then obviously this year he just really outshined everything. His work ethic every day when he came to practice. Couldn't really ask for a better leader. Humor, if you didn't also go to the musical, he can sing and dance as well on top of running. And yeah. And then semi-state, I just want to say this about him too. So semi-state for cross country, it's state. It is very competitive. You would know. But when the gunman shoots it, you get so many yards before, if someone were to fall, they would restart the race. He fell right after the starter. So he still actually has it. He was spiked and basically trampled, but probably was down for 10, 15 seconds, got back up and finished the race. So just super proud of him and everything that he did for our cross-country team this year. So,
And the middle school athlete of the month is Ariana Ortega. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us today, so I'll be sure to give this to Ryan Morgan, or Mr. Morgan at the middle school, and we'll get that to her. So I think that's it for me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. As promised, that kind of finishes up this piece of the meeting, but Mrs. Gardner will be taking pictures, so Mrs. Gardner, we're all yours.
Yeah, it would be great if we could, the group that is here of the students of the month first to that group, and then each of those families, principals, before you guys, we get that. We've got Park Central and South Grove too.
first off, we need to see if there's any public comment this evening. I don't believe there is. So next on the agenda is Sergeant Nathan Rinks, who oversees and supervises our School Resource Officer program, and he's going to do a presentation for us this evening.
Miss Fleming was going to do the presentation.
Miss Fleming's going to do the presentation.
That's great.
So I don't really do PowerPoint because I really don't understand
Oh,
it still,
darn.
so I'm sorry. But, yeah, Sergeant Rinks with our School Resource Officer program. This is my third year full-time in the schools. I worked part-time at the middle school, and we had that as like a part-time job, probably from 2014, 2015. The timeline's a little right. I just really don't remember when I started. Officer Parker has been in since 2020 with me, so about 3 years. Prior to that, he was our school resource officer, the only one we had from 2012 until the end of, I think, 2017 when he stepped out, and then Officer Spivey stepped in. So we have a full-time officer in the high school, in South Grove and Beech Grove Middle School. We're all certified school resource officers through the National School Resource Officer Association, and we're all school safety specialists. I myself am also an instructor in active shooter and tactical first aid. So I teach a lot of that to our officers. We go through extensive active shooter response training. They all go through at least twice a year. We do high stress response where myself and a couple of other officers put it on, where we've got blank guns and smoke machines and loud music, and we're screaming at them the whole time. And it sounds awful, but we try to get our officers in doing high stress response to high stress situations and thinking with a lot going on, so that it's going to be like kind of like what would happen if we had an active shooter type situation in one of our schools, where it's going to be about the worst case scenario you can possibly imagine. Besides that, honestly, our number one priority besides school safety is a lot of just, we do a lot of mentoring. We're almost like another group of counselors. That's probably 80% of the time we spend is just kind of building relationships with students and being, an extra set of eyes and ears there. I have a lot of kids that come in and talk to me and tell me things. Officer Spivey is absolutely wonderful at that. I mean, she's phenomenal at South Grove. She does a great job. And even I still, as late as last week, we had an incident where we had a former student kind of reach out to us and was wanting to talk about some things that had happened. And so I called her to see how she was doing and see if she wanted to talk. And she honestly said, she's like, I would really like to, I would feel more comfortable speaking to Officer Spivey and speaking to a female officer, which was great. I mean, love it about her. It puts a lot on Officer Spivey's plate at times, but she's so good-hearted and good-natured about it that she does take all that, because there's oftentimes, unfortunately, where we do have incidents that involve females here, and Spivey will get called from South Grove to come and handle it, just because a lot of them just feel so comfortable with her, and a lot of them that are older, the juniors and seniors that had her when they were here, just love her, because she's always kind of the door's open. I unfortunately don't keep my snack drawer as stocked as she does, and I get told about it constantly. And I didn't realize that was a thing until I loaded it, and then I'd have kids come in and grab like 4 things out of it and be like, see ya. And then, right before school got out, they come back in, you got any more of them granola bars? It's like, yeah. And I was like, I'm going to go broke. I don't know how Spivey did it, So we do just kind of a lot of little things around, like we did with the traffic. Any of the principals know they can call, the bus drivers know they can call if they have an issue. We see something on a bus stop, we're like, this guy's being weird, we'll swing by there and check it out. We talk to kids, kind of whatever is needed, with, as long as we're still keeping the focus of school safety. And I think we partner well, talking to the principals when we have issues, even like today, Dr. Hammock and I talked about, an issue that maybe we could address, just to see how we tweak it. That's a constant. and talking with Mr. Carr, or when I was at the middle school, and even back before that when, Mr. Gerhart was at the middle school, we'd talk about, well, what if we do this, or what if we do that? How will that make us safer? We're constantly doing that when we go to our conferences and we go to training. It's what can we bring back to help make the school safer while also making the kids comfortable around us. I think oftentimes there's this narrative, you see some people put out that like there's this prison to pipeline or school to prison pipeline, and that's what the officers are for. But, we make very few arrests, and unfortunately a part of that is it's not because we just don't always want to. There's some things that merit arrest, but in Marion County you're just not going to get juveniles arrested, which is okay because we handle a lot of that in-house, and we deal with a lot of our discipline in-house, which we're not really a part of, but we do kind of help. And sometimes they'll ask us, we're thinking this incident was kind of this serious or not this serious, kind of what are you thinking? And sometimes they'll ask us our opinions, but we mostly stay out of discipline. It's really just kind of mentoring. We work together with Diane in our Smoke Free, have you met Diane Hendricks? So she's very, very passionate about anti-smoking. And it's great because she puts on a great program. A lot of our kids, you'll see them, they get caught with a vape, and you can see the eye roll, like, I have to go to a class for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it is. And they're pretty upset. But I haven't had too many people after complain much about it because she makes it way less painless than what you would think. Most of these kids think it's going to be, and I know she always brings snacks too. So kids are very food driven. If you're offering them donuts, if you're offering them snacks, they're going to be with you all the way. Everybody's got my number. I try to keep. We're not a 9 to 5 position. I try to keep Spivey and Parker 9 to 5, so I kind of handle any of the after hours. Which does happen. I mean, I've gotten a call from somebody at this table at like 11 o'clock on a cold Sunday when I was walking into the stadium. But it was something that had to be called, and I'm fine with that's part of it's part of taking this on. You don't take this on and go, I've got to, when I get done at 4 o'clock, the phone's off. It's probably at least a couple times a week I'll get calls after hours for something, but it helps us, and we've had this issue many times. I know in the middle school, we've been lucky at the high school since I've been over there, but at the middle school we've had maybe something was posted on social media and I get alerted to it, or Mr. Morgan or Mr. Gerhart was alerted to it at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and it's not something that we can go, okay, we'll talk about it at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, no, we've got to put a plan together now. If there's a kid that we think is a potential threat or has posted something that makes you think that, it's something that we have to address that night. And sometimes it often means, because we can talk about it, it means we can get that kid out of the building that next day and make sure we talk to the parents, say they're not coming in, so that we can actually talk, investigate it further, and make sure, is he safe? Is this child safe to return to our school, or does this child need to be away from the schools? So it kind of it creates a good opportunity without the SROs. They would have to call 911. They have to call into dispatch. They have to get an officer dispatched out, and you're just not sure what you're going to get. Not that they would not take it seriously, but we know these kids. We know the school protocols, and knowing that, we kind of know what is we can deal with it tomorrow morning, and what is we got to deal with it right now. And like the incident like we did last year, it was we need to talk about this right now. It cannot wait until tomorrow. We need to know what we're doing. So, and that happens. It's unfortunate, but it does happen at least a handful of times a year of varying degrees, and that's kind of how we help out there. I'm not sure what else. I mean, we do a lot of the traffic. We help with the traffic flow like today. I coordinate all of the security for basketball games and such, which has become more and more taxing. We've had some incidents a couple years ago, so now we do metal detectors. So I work with Garrett and Mr. Shanahan about how we do security at sporting events, which I think has really made our sporting events flow a lot better. It's all the things you don't want to think about, but that's part of what the SRO program is, to think about those things. So I'm not sure what else to say about the program. Do you guys have any questions or?
What do you find is the most challenging thing in your job?
You know, the most challenging thing, I've been a police officer for 19 years, so like the police work side of it isn't as challenging anymore. Not like, it's just that you're just used to it. It's like any other job you can get used. It's amazing what you can get used to. I'm sure Rob knows that. We don't talk much about police work, but when we do talk about it, it's like, yeah, we did that, and it's kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. It's the kids that you can't help, like the kids, like you get emotionally attached to trying to help kids, and sometimes when things don't go well, that's hard. I mean, that's as hard as I'm sure everybody who's a teacher up here can sympathize with that. I mean, when bad things happen to kids, it's brutal, brutal, and it doesn't leave you or stop like when you get done. So that makes it really hard. But that's, we become like the community. I mean, we're the officers, but I feel like all three of us are kind of part of that school building and part of the community. You know, we know all the teachers. I've lived here now for 14 years, so half these kids I know because I've watched them grow up, and Spivey's been here forever, and she's been seeing some of these kids since they were little. Parker, even though he was gone for a couple of years, he knows half these kids, has coached some of their parents now. He's now at the point, and I'm sure he'll hate me for saying this, but he's at the point where some of these kids in our schools, he's coached their parents and coached them in high school and stuff. So it's, we all know these kids really well. That helps a lot, because when we do have issues with kids out on the street, and our officers will contact us, hey, do you know this kid, or you know that? Like, we had a kid that had ran away. I knew kind of who he was dating last week and kind of who his other friend was. So I said, hey, why don't you go check? And I was able to pull up my laptop, hey, go check this address. He might be there. And lo and behold, guess where he was at. So it kind of helps. We get to know these kids, so we can kind of know the who and whats, and especially out on the road when they have issues, they can call us. And
If they get lost at a park, you can return them to their parents.
yeah. And
Go ahead.
so go ahead. No, go ahead, Joe.
No, I know that we had put money in the referendum, and we're waiting for the opportunity to hire at least one more school resource officer. If we had an unlimited budget, what would be the optimal amount of SROs? You think that, if we could run anything, is it one at each school? Is it two at each school?
I think
how would you expand the program?
Sure. So with our district, if money was no object, I would say you put an officer in every school across the country. But we all know that's not going to happen. That's, if you want to talk about from a school safety standpoint, absolutely. And especially if you get the right ones who are going to be in there and do more than just sit around waiting for a bad guy to come through the door and actually get involved and do things. I think with one more, I think we're going to have a great opportunity. I've got some ideas, kind of how you would probably see the next one would kind of float between Hornet Park and Central, while also helping backfill at the high school. Like, once we have a fourth, there will never not be an officer on the grounds at the high school. So if I have a day off, or if I have to go handle something with Parker or whatever, that fourth officer, who would also be covering a lot of our schools, would also, when I have to go and leave the grounds, my goal would be there would never be. And once you get to a fourth, there would never not be an officer here. Because this is, and we've had issues at elementary schools throughout the country, and we've had shootings there, but the majority of the time it's at a high school. So that would be the ultimate. So right now we do, if I'm off or if I'm out at training, at a minimum now, we just started this last week, Parker or Spivey will float over and be here for the lunchtime, because that's when we're basically almost like an open campus, because you have kids that go leave, kids that come back in, and as much as we keep those doors shut, it's not 100%, and it's a little difficult during lunchtime. So that's why we will keep them there. So I would say if you get to a fourth, we would be rolling, and then it would really help. I think Aaron and Stephanie getting a little more face time.
I was just curious, because I know during COVID you guys were an excellent resource in going out. And
We were very busy during COVID.
Not really in a truancy role, but as a community engagement role,
Yeah.
making sure that families were fed, making sure that they had what they needed. and things like that. So I've never seen, I really have seen our school resource officers, the way that you guys present yourself as a mentorship, community engagement service
Right.
rather than a policing service. So I was just, I think sometimes, you know, I think our goal would be nice to have one in each school, because then you're creating that engagement at each
Right.
level. So I was just curious to what you.
That would be, like I said, that would be great, but I know what reality is,
Right.
you know. I don't know, so what she was alluding to when we were, during COVID, especially when we were doing e-learning, so like, we would go, and I know Spivey did it a lot, and Parker did a lot, we would go with some of our teachers, like especially at the middle school. We started a program where we were going, like, a lot of kids who weren't checking in, we would go with a teacher or a counselor to go check on them, see what was going on. And then at the middle school, we kind of started doing, like me and Mr. Mann, we just had this box of supplies and all these candy bars. And I think even you guys donated some candy bars for us, and we just started going, because we were like, it gets very hard. You'd go in 5 or 6 straight houses to go knock. Hey, you're not checking in. We need to check in. Are you okay? So then we also started checking on the kids who were doing everything they were supposed to do, because those kind of the ones that always tend to, in situations like that, get nothing because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So then we would just go and knock on their door, and they'd kind of answer like, what are you doing? We're like, hey, just wanted to say hi. You want a candy bar? You need some pencils? You need some paper? And we really started doing that, and that helped, because we did have some families that when we talked to them were just like, I haven't worked in 2 months. I don't know how we're going to get groceries. And so then Lieutenant Treat, who runs Shop with a Cop, which has been very flush with cash the last 5 or 6 years, we've had so many donations that it's allowed us this opportunity in situations like that where we were able to get money from Shop with a Cop and go buy like $400 worth of groceries or go get clothes for kids. We did that a lot. We've done that a lot where we've had kids come in and we've had CPS issues and talk to them, talk to their parent. Like we had a kid at the middle school a couple years ago, moved in with grandma, had like nothing. So Treat gave me like $500 on a Visa card, and I think I took my girls and we went and bought clothes, you know, because I had to go. 'Cause I don't know what a middle schooler wears, so I took Allie and I said, this is the size she said. She sent me a couple of pictures. She emailed me the couple of pictures of styles. She said, this is like my style. And I said, Allie, I'll go. And she went to Forever 21 and said, Dad, you just sit here. I'll be back. We were good.
We'll have to fill you in sometime on all the things we did over COVID and stuff. But the school resource officers were a big part of that, because, I mean, they took school buses around and had it for anybody in the community, came and got bags of food twice a week. And then the SROs and some of the teachers would deliver food directly to families with that initiative as well. The community did a lot more than just making sure kids could eat work.
COVID was it was a lesson in flexibility. And that was kind of the cool thing working here. That was my first year. That year was my first year full time here. And I remember, going out to the parking lot at the middle school, and Mr. Lamar had his goggles and his lab coat on and was having somebody film him doing experiments and shooting rockets up in the air to put them online. You remember that. We were all out there watching him, and I think he even did the Mentos thing too. And was posting it for his kids to see. It was just, it was however way you could get to the kids you were trying to. And I'm glad that our program was part of it. It is a huge help with Mark and Kelly, because they have such big hearts and they really care. And I tease Mark because he's getting older and he's gonna be retiring in a few years, but he's like a big bear. He still loves all his kids, and just Kelly she's just started this new program where it's essentially gonna be like not a soup kitchen, a food bank. Sorry, like a food bank to help out families in need. And she's gone around and gotten donations and gotten civic groups to help volunteer and donate money to keep food in this so that we can send kids who have need home with food bags at the end of the week. And I know she's got Coach Williams' class going to help put that together. So it's just, I'm lucky. I get to be the supervisor of 2 really good people, and they really make my job easy. And it's kind of nice. And it's nice being this small, because I think everybody kind of gets to know that. It makes everything a little bit easier.
I'd say one of the most successful parts about our system is if you go around to other school districts and whatnot, like I used to work part-time security for Wayne Township Schools. Most of your other school districts, that's what they're using, a guy on his day off, and maybe he does 10 shifts a month, maybe he does 3 shifts a month. So he doesn't know the kids, he doesn't have the relationship. Yes, you have a police officer in the building, but all the icing on the cake of what this program's for, we get. And the fact that, and I don't want to knock it, but some school districts will create their own police department. Well, we're not doing that here. We have all state certified Beech Grove City police officers in our buildings. And the fact that we have the same and we have the relationships, I mean, it's just miles ahead. Like I said, every other school has an officer in there, but he probably doesn't know who's walking by him. He's probably an off-duty IMPD guy who's going to go work the street at 11 o'clock at night, and at 7 in the morning, he's going to go let some buses in and sit in an office, and if you need, yell at him. So the fact that we're coupled in with the city just puts us miles ahead of everybody.
Well, I think what helps that too, like when I go up to the SRO conference, and I've got buddies now that are up in like Ligonier and Central Noble and areas like that, and not them specifically, but like there's other smaller districts or even bigger districts where there's a lot of ego there. So the officers say this is kind of what we need to do or kind of how I'd like to run it, and then they have people saying, no, we're going to do it my way. And what's always been good here, even with Dr. Hammock, Dr. Kaiser, Dr. Bear, Mr. Gerhardt, and most of the principals, it's very much a real good working relationship. Like there's not a lot of, there's always good compromise. There's nobody like stomp their foot and go, no, this is my way, this is how we're going to do it. Like I'll put out opinions and then I'll get opinions from kind of their perspective, and I think then we kind of just work it out from there, and nobody just kind of puts their foot down, which I just can't do it that way, in my opinion. And so it all works out pretty well here, and then just works kind of local community, so it kind of makes it nice. I mean, I see Janice every week, and I see Rob more than I like to.
This is a little random, but
Okay.
when you were talking about working on active shooter drills
Mhm.
with your officers, when I was working in the mall, we used to do an active shooter drill, but it would be a scripted whole scenario where they brought in people who were victims, they brought in SWAT, because they trained them at the same time. Have you ever thought, or are you planning to do something like that with the teachers? Because when you get involved in that whole chaos situation, it's so different than when you're doing it with the kids in the schoolroom, and you have to be a little less, because you don't want to scare them. You know what I mean?
I would like to. Someday, it's just gonna be, it's such an undertaking, and
It is.
I think we're lucky here in Beech Grove. I've got really good officers who know how to do active shooter instruction without making it about making them look like they're awesome. Like I think we had that issue up north, I think somewhere, where, I mean, they were shooting teachers execution style with Nerf guns, and then nobody learns from that. That is just pure vanity for the officers putting on that training. There's no, you can do a high stress, active shooter, large scenario like that without making somebody uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And without terrorizing people. But it's an undertaking. I mean, it would be a large undertaking. I would love to put that on someday. I would like to plan it someday and get as many teachers that would want to be involved in that, get students involved in that. I think it would be a really good thing to do, but there's a lot of moving parts with that, because you don't want to tick off, hurt, or harm any teachers, either physically or mentally. You don't want to do that to students either, and it just takes a lot of instructors who are running it right, and a lot of role players. And the biggest thing with being a role player and stuff like that is knowing you can't do kamikaze stuff. Like you would have, 15 years ago, and I know Rob's been in training like that, you would come in here into a room like this to do active shooter, and somebody would be hiding up there with like 4 pillows tucked around him and a little porthole to shoot out of, and that's not realistic. That's not how it happens. And so you got to have everybody who's dedicated is like, we're going to do this to where it's the right way and it's done realistically and it's done safely. And it's a huge undertaking. I would like to someday, but I mean, it's a goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Like, they even had the fire department, the EMS there, and if you were a victim, they would tell you you were going to be taken here, and they'd actually take you to the hospital. I mean, everybody was like, it was cool. It took them a long time to put it together, but it was really cool. It was very beneficial.
It's a goal. It's a goal. It's just, it's an undertaking.
It's a lot, I
It
know.
would take months of planning, but I would like to someday.
Okay, just curious.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
That's it. That was painless, wasn't it?
Too bad. All right. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Dr. Bear?
Yeah, I will add that, the SROs are an integral part of our Safe Schools team, which we meet quarterly. Myself, Mr. Gearhart, and Mr. Mann, we have trainings for and new learning for our assistant principals who coordinate that at each building. We do have those types of drills within our building. Some of them, for example, last week, we finished up our rally points where we practice exiting our building and going to rally points. So each of our buildings coordinated that, and teacher practiced going to rally points. Now, our next plan is working on reunification in that process. Our teachers practice barricade drills, lockdown, how to secure their room. So those are constant trainings that we do. We've done some of those drills like you've talked in the past. We've done those after school because those are pretty intense processes and are many hours long. So we have done, I think, 2 or 3 of those in the past 10 to 15 years. But on a smaller scale, we do some of those drills that you're referring to, but enough to where our teachers are becoming comfortable or understanding what those expectations are and what they are able to do if a situation arises. So we have trained over 342 of our teachers and all staff in our district, so the entire district, on ALICE, which is kind of response to active shooters or irate parents or just a random stranger entering our building, and kind of those what you can do. And so we've just kind of completed up that first piece of that, our first quarter, and we've got those results back from each building. And like I said, we have over 95% of our staff who have done those, and we're following up with those other ones just to get that training. So that goes in place of all the quarterly Safe Schools trainings. And each building, if I'm not mistaken, dedicates time each month to some type of Safe Schools training. But what we do as our Safe School team is we provide the script, kind of what they can take back to their building and work on. So that's kind of what we do with our team of assistant principals, ourselves, Dulce in food service, Dale in operations. So we make sure everybody in the district gets that training so they know what to do in case of a scenario of that nature. So just kind of wanted to add that, and the SROs are an integral part of that, along with just talking with our assistant principals about other just typical things going on in their building. So with that being said, kind of the final thing under curriculum is another successful ML night, the multi-language students. And we had over 70 people show up for our Day of the Dead celebration, which celebrates those people who have passed. And it's kind of, it's celebrated very heavily in Mexico, but around the country, around the world. But had over 70 people show up to that, and Janae Sutton, Lisa Durst, Ethan Martin, some of which are our art teachers, and Ethan's one of our EL teachers, showed up and prepared an incredible night for our families. And it was just another great opportunity to celebrate and provide that build those relationships with our families and provide that support from a district level. So again, just a lot of great things going on as echoed by our principals, and just proud to be a part of it. So.
Community relations, Ms. Carmen.
Okay, I find this really interesting. If you can see my notes, I've got the new, and I don't want to, first of all, I sent a report, and I'm not going to go over everything on that. But some of the notes that I've made, the new thing we're doing with the website is some testimonials. They're going to add kind of a scrolling, I don't know if it's a scrolling bar, I can't decide how I'm envisioning it, I'm working with the graphic designer, but testimonials to go with why Beech Grove. And we have different areas. And just listening to the principals and what you said, there's so many things that I want to include. And Rob, I may quote you, or I may but I have a whole thing on safety. And I love what you said, the difference is the community connection and some different things. So this is just kind of a shout out to anyone in this room, but I am going to be at the testimonials, then they may be archived at some point, because I will get probably too many, but we are going to include those on the section of the website in various ways, because I think there's nothing more powerful than hearing the voices of the kids, the educators, those that are in the community, the parents, and so that's where that's kind of, I'm focusing, I'm trying to narrow my focus, and if you know me very well, it's really hard for me, because I'm kind of everywhere, but anyway, so I've got some great notes on that. So that's one thing, testimonials that was not in the report that I'm really excited to gather, and we can talk about that more later. We had a great media last month. It seems like every station we've been on except for Channel 6, and I feel like some people aren't upset about that. But we've had a lot of positive from the Colts at the middle school. If you didn't see it, they joined a sting. Wish TV 8 live joined a sting, and Stephanie, the teacher, bless her heart, we kind of had to make a decision. Do you tell her she's going to get stung, or do you let her do it? Now, it wasn't live, so we knew that if it was recorded. She was amazing. If you didn't get a chance to see Chelsea, I really think she teared up too, right?
She did. She's Henry's favorite teacher.
And it was the spirit of the, and she was so authentic. It was almost like this news reporter is going to think we planted her, and we did not.
It was all
And then thanks to Eileen McManus, we're also looking at Indy Fuel promotion, and she was wearing an Indy Fuel shirt too, and so that was kind of, we didn't really plant that at all. But, so Fox was with the Colts, WTHR, I just found out, thanks to Ms. Probus, they were at the Pumpkin Patch. And so our little sweet preschool faces, these were also on TV. So those are some of the things. You can read the report if you guys have any other questions, but I will probably be reaching out for some more testimonials on that. So feel free always to contact me with whatever note, Jazz. We're going to talk some more on that alumni. So that's for me.
Mr. Garman, personnel update?
Yeah, when I submitted this, we did have an opening at Central, but Stephanie has since filled that with a Beech Grove grad.
Beech Grove
Yeah. So,
Great.
which is really great.
Maybe we need a quote.
And I think we now have one position at South Grove, but at least we've gotten that narrowed down. We seem to continue to have a few here and there that pop up. We have been focusing on teacher retention, and I reported last time that we had put together some cards and some gift cards, and Steve and I were able to go and meet personally with each of the brand new teachers this year and present them with a card and just thank them for being part of Beech Grove Schools. And I hope that goes a long way with them. We sure enjoyed it, getting to know them a little bit better and having some nice conversations with them. I did audit all 300 and some employees for the background checks. We did have some gaps there with that law when we were in compliance. So I'm working through about 143 that we need to get in compliance with that HEA 1079. So that's going to take a little bit of time to get that done, but I'm kind of sending them out in waves. We are up and going with CEP. So all the kids are now getting free breakfast and lunch, thanks to Dulcie and others that worked on that. That's really a nice gift to our community. And we will be issuing reimbursements back to all the families for all the money, if they were reimbursable meals. So if you were on a free meal status, you don't get money back, obviously. But if you, whatever you paid for up till this point in the school year, you'll get reimbursed for. So that'll be nice little, hopefully, the plan is to try to get those out, all those checks issued before Christmas. So might be a nice check for some families to get right before Christmas time. But we figure we have about 1,500 checks to issue, so it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. And then this lastly, I wanted just to mention, in case you get some feedback from community, that the Snacks 2 study that will be going on in Aaron's building at Hornet Park for the Early Childhood Center is something we're required to participate in. And that's really just about a lot of data that they're going to be collecting that is going to be used to really help inform how kids learn and grow and how nutrition and food, the food service program impacts that. So that will be going on, and they're going to be targeting and communicating with some parents and families to get some feedback as well and doing some work with kids. So just in case you happen to hear that, it's something we are required to be part of.
Thank you. Dr. Hammock and Julia?
Absolutely. So gosh, I think it's a world record. We don't recall ever having a full page for
This is a lot.
Ms. Smith and me, but we do, and it's all good things. And the great news is that because of all the work that the board has done up until tonight, these are just actions that we're asking for, so no big presentations tonight. Just a couple things that I wanted to mention before we got into your action. First off, I just wanted to pause and just honor the fact that today is Election Day. I do believe that civics education is one of the most important things that a public school can offer to the students that we serve. And I just wanted to spotlight the fact that we had high school students that were working at the polls here at the high school. And that was a surprise. It was so special to see. And I was just so proud, and I knew that you would all be as well. So some really great students who volunteered their day. As a high school student, you're able to have a day off of school if you are working at an election polling location. And they were working actively and just advancing their experience, and I just can't wait to hear from them about that. But it's important as well for us to be thoughtful about Election Day, because really today we get to celebrate the fact that Janice and Rob and Rick are continuing to be board members for us. So 3 board members who were up for election, who ran unopposed. We believe that board service is the greatest service that you can offer to a community. Being a voice for your school community is just, really, it is. I believe it's the greatest service that you can offer. So thank you for the time that you offer to us, and you make us better. And so thank you for your service, and congratulations on your appointment. And so big day with Election Day. Even bigger day because today is the 40th birthday of Steph Alford. Today is Steph's birthday. So happy birthday to Steph, and she's spending it at a board meeting, which is about the best way to bring in 40. So
Strangely exciting.
so good. I did want to thank the City of Beech Grove for that $60,000 donation to the high school marching band. It is really incredible. They, the mayor was able, through their American Rescue Act funds, they had dollars that were able to be allocated for community purposes. And Corey Wynn went to the council and talked about the need for new uniforms, for kind of a percussion suite, stands for those percussion pieces, and then the wraps for the trailers. And without hesitation, our council just fully supported this allocation. So these dollars are going to our kids, which is just a really, I said to the mayor that, you know, it's so nice to live in a community where many times in local government will say, you know, great schools make a great community, you know, and a great community makes great schools. And what our city government does is they walk that talk, right? So it's not just lip service. They stand behind those words, and they really double down when it's time to help kids. So I'm just so grateful for that $60,000 donation. Just reminding everyone of the Parks Dinner on Saturday. We're excited to represent the school board at the Parks and Recreation celebration on Saturday night. And I know you don't want to hear this, but it is required by law. I just wanted to remind the board that you'll have to work on my evaluation before the end of the calendar year. And if you wanted to get it done in the next few weeks, we could possibly do that in executive session after the next board meeting. Maybe. It just has to be done by December 31st to be legally compliant. So just letting you know. And that's all that I have for updates tonight. So we'll just go into action. And we have a very important first piece before we start for motion.
Yeah, is there any of this we can clump together since we have, I don't think there is there?
No, unfortunately, this
Okay,
is all pretty serious.
So we're
stuff.
gonna whip through these
Yeah,
quick, because we
yeah.
got a bunch. So we have a motion to approve the 22,
First, we have to
23.
do the public comment. It's in the
Oh,
bold,
shoot.
right above. No.
Do we
I don't
have
think we're gonna have any. but-
anybody that has public comment regarding the ratification of the teacher contract between Beech Grove City Schools and the Beech Grove Classroom Teachers Association? All good? Everybody happy? Okay. Motion to approve the 22-23 teacher contract between Beech Grove and the Classroom Teachers Association. Beth?
Second.
Rob? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then we need a motion to approve the board resolution for supplemental payment to certain teachers permitted by Indiana Code 20-189-1.5. Who would like to make a motion, please?
I will move that one.
Jill?
I'll second.
Kara? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve the district's assumption of all health insurance premium increases for classified, certified, and administrative staff for 2023.
Motion.
Rob? Beth, was that you?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve the 2022-23 administrative raises as presented.
I'll make the said motion.
Tara?
I'll second it.
Jill? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are no changes for the administrative raises distributed during the October. Okay, so motion to approve the 23 classified staff raises as presented, including the adoption of the BGCS hourly rate pay schedule. Beth? Rob? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding and agreement with the Association of Indiana Counties Tax Refund Exchange and Compliance System. That's a tough one.
Motion.
Rob? Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do you want me to read this MOU thing? Do we care about that? Not
You
necessarily,
can
right?
just say,
Okay.
yeah, that was just letting you know
That's
what
just
choice
information
was
for us,
about.
right? Okay. Motion to approve an increase in benefits for the Beech Grove bus drivers so needed,
Yes.
including public employment retirement plan, so needed, participation and access to all options of the health insurance plan.
I'll make said motion.
Tara?
And I will second it.
Jill, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This one, although I love all of you teachers, I love all of you principals, I'm so happy we were able to do what we could for all of you, but this is really great for these bus drivers because
We
they
didn't
were
do
like
that.
getting nothing, and I'm so happy we did this for them.
Very long time.
Motion to approve the employment recommendations as listed with salaries.
Motion.
Rob?
Second. Rob motioned, I second.
Oh, I heard both of you, two people, so, okay, Jill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Fabulous job. Madam President, that was wonderful, yeah. Well done.
You know, I learned how to read. Beech Grove Schools.
You did. Proud graduate.
Mr. Gearhart, operations.
So, kind of along your comments, Mrs. King, we had an event last month, Come Try to Drive a Bus, and Misty allowed people to try to drive a bus, and as a result of that, on your personnel report, you'll see that we are hiring 3 bus drivers.
Amazing.
We are hiring 1 bus monitor who wants to become a bus driver, which we will take care of that. So we have every general education route covered right now. It's the first time, I think, since I've been in this position what you just passed is only going to help that. Because our surrounding districts, I think about half of them offer perf, so we'll have an advantage. So thank you is very much needed for our drivers, and I know that they will appreciate it. Kind of a big shout out to Shelby Concrete down the way here. When we put this concrete pad out there, which I've explained to you in the write-up, when they found out it was for Beech Grove City Schools, they donated $1,300 worth of concrete, which is that's saying something, because you can't get concrete right now. It's a 2 or 3 day wait when you order concrete because of all of these warehouses going up. So the fact that they did that, we'll just say thank you. Hornet Park Early Childhood Center, we're coming to an end to that project. We completed the build-up roof on the original portion of the building. And then there's a little section above Tim's office that we redid. So we're protecting what's underneath that roof, which we need to do. PSI is doing their punch list. We need to finish up on a playground, which Aaron and I chat about frequently. So that project is almost done. Concession stands, you can see for yourself the bones of those buildings are up. The trades are coming in, drywall, plumbing, etc. And then on another very positive note with roofs, we budgeted $250,000 for some roof decks at middle school, which are in need. Working with our partners at Moisture Management, AAA Roofing, they quoted us $150,000 to do 3 roof decks. So we are exceedingly pleased with that and really value that relationship with Moisture Management, and especially AAA Roofing. They treat us very well here at Beech Grove, and they're a quality company. So that's it for me. Oh, I forgot, there's a motion on there.
I'm sorry?
There's a motion under me.
Oh, yes.
I got a question on the motion.
Yeah, okay.
Is per game correct on that?
I think that's an hourly
I
rate.
thought it was
I thought it was
hourly,
hourly
not
when we
per
talked
day.
about it last time.
Should we, it's my mistake.
Is it per hour? or
It's
is
my
it-
mistake.
It's
I think
hourly,
it's
isn't
per
it?
hour.
Because I was thinking about how we paid them in middle school, we
Yeah.
paid them per game, so it's my mistake.
No,
If it needs
no,
to be
no.
hour,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can just modify what's indicated here. in the
Because I
motion.
think we all knew it was supposed to be
Okay,
$40,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that it's not,
Well, that's
I'm
what I
glad you
was
brought
just,
that
I
up.
was just reading and I was like, wait a minute.
Because I saw that, but I knew that's what the
Right.
grant was for.
I was just, went back to my middle school days when I was
Yeah, by game, sure.
talking to Steph, so my fault.
Not at all.
40 per hour.
Before we do that, I'm just gonna, about your bus drivers, if you need more,
We do.
okay, I made a little announcement at the last alumni meeting. And I told them that we were needing bus drivers, but I couldn't tell them everything because I didn't know exactly what they were being paid. I told them we were giving benefits, they were getting, a retirement plan, but if you wanted to get hold of David Wright, or I could get hold of David Wright for you, you could come to the alumni meeting in January, because those alumni at the meeting might not want to do it, but they might know somebody who would, and that might fill your employment needs.
Mr.
Oh.
Garrett, I think I'm going to that meeting.
Oh.
I could do that.
I'm happy to
Like,
do
we could
whatever.
Put it together and we
Or
can make
come
that
Okay.
and meet the alumni.
happen. Yeah,
Come
they're
and meet
so
them.
sweet.
Yeah, they're all great.
They're great people.
Yeah, okay. Motion to increase the police officers' pay for the basketball games to $40 per hour.
Motion.
Rob? Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have minutes and claims. A motion to approve the minutes for the October meeting.
I'll make said motion.
Tara?
I'll second it.
Jill, all in favor? Opposed? And we need to approve the claims for October.
I'll move to approve the claims.
Jill? Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Other business, motion to approve fundraisers. Anybody have any questions about the fundraisers?
Motion.
Okay, Rob? second for me?
I'll second it.
Jill, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't think we have any policy items. Do we have any other items that we need to cover before we adjourn this meeting at 10 after 8?
Could I say just one final thing, and I promise it's quick, but I'm so excited to see him here. So Brian, I didn't notice you back there. I'd like to introduce the board to Brian Kemps. Brian is an aspiring superintendent candidate.
Oh,
and the poor guy is matched with me to kind of study the superintendency as he is thinking about making that shift and is getting his EDD at the same time. So has a lot on his plate, but he's coming just to do some observations, and a board meeting was one of the things that he chose. So here we are. I'm so glad you're here, Brian.
You're learning
Sorry I
from a
didn't
good
see you.
one.
Yeah.
Aw, you're sweet. Yeah, thanks for being here. Great. Yeah, that was strange.
Is he already with the district, or is he,
Is he?
Yes.
are you
At
currently with the
yes.
district?
I currently am an assistant principal at a charter school in Indianapolis Academy.
Okay.
It's a private school.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he's a good guy. Welcome. We
Great.
met at an occasion. He's studying with Indiana University, and I had an opportunity to speak to the candidates who are in the EDD program, and then Brian and I had a really nice meeting after, and we're going to work together over the year, get him ready for that next step. Good things.
Hope you enjoy your time.
Yeah,
here.
really glad you were here. Sorry about that.
Anything else? Okay, you guys, motion to adjourn.
That is it.
Rob, who's going to second?
Tara.
Yay.
Tara, all in
I had to do it
favor?
since
Aye.
Rick wasn't here.
Meeting adjourned.
Go home.